So yeah, Mo, it's absolutely fantastic to be speaking with you this morning. How's things, first of all?
Yeah, things are right. We are now in Baku, playing Karabakh tomorrow. So yeah, looking forward to it.
Yeah, and how are you enjoying life in Copenhagen? Obviously, it's a beautiful city, a fantastic stadium, a brilliant club. I know obviously that you won the Danish Superliga and you've qualified for the Champions League, so everything must be going really well for you.
Yes, this last season was really, really good. Winning the double, like you said now, qualifying for Champions League is a huge goal for the club. So it's been really, really good start. And the life outside is also been really nice. Copenhagen is a very family oriented city. Kids in preschool and school and enjoying life, and so we have this, the environment at the club, which is really good, but we also found ourselves having a different kind of environment outside as well, being
Yeah,
with other school parents, and so we're enjoying life here.
great, brilliant. Obviously, Mo, the kind of purpose of this interview was to chat about your time at Celtic. So if you wouldn't mind, we'll just take it straight back to the start, Mo. Obviously, when you first heard of Celtic's interest, you were at Southampton. I think you were a season in from at Southampton. I think you just joined in a £60 million move. You were in your peak years. I think you were around the 25. What drew you to Celtic?
Yeah, I think I mean I came from it was a big transfer for me coming into Premier League, and things didn't go as planned for myself. I started picking up my first injuries in my career. First time in my career where I had bumps, where suddenly you don't play as much. You change the coach and sitting on stands. So it was a tough time the first year in the Premier League, and I remember going into the last days of the transfer window. That was the first time I heard about Celtic, the interest. I think we were close to go somewhere else first, and then we chose Celtic when the chance arrived. I think I came one of the last days after the transfer window, and obviously everybody has heard about the club, massive club, and I knew that Chris Archer was there as well, and so yeah, that was quite an easy decision to make, and I also at that time needed to find myself again, enjoy football again and play again. So that's the reason why I went to Celtic.
Yeah, and obviously Celtic, I think, had just been knocked out of the Champions League a few weeks beforehand by CFR Cluj. Did Neil Lennon kind of really have to convince you to move to Scottish football, or was it just the size of Celtic that attracted you?
I think it was two things: the size of the club, to experience. I already played there once with Molde
Yeah,
a couple of years before, I think. So I knew how, amazing the stadium is, atmosphere. So that was obviously a big factor. On the other hand, um, it was also trying to stay in the UK,
hmm,
uh, try to learn and adapt to the British football. I would say I wasn't the most, the strongest guy, or the guy who went into the challenges. I'd rather stay away from it. So I thought, like, hey, I need to adapt to that as well. And well, Scottish football can provide that. Some teams at least. So that was the other thing, to cope with and to learn. So I know I don't think Neil had to convince me much, but I spoke to him briefly before I came, but I already made my mind.
yeah. You made a great start as well. You provided an assist for James Forrest, I think, in your debut against Hamilton. What do you remember from that day? Because Hamilton isn't the most glamorous of starts in Scottish football.
No, isn't. And then, playing an artificial, and yeah, I haven't been. I didn't have a lot of sessions with the team, but yeah, good start. What I remember for that game is you're playing away, and I would say 80% of the people was Celtic fans. That was the first thing I noticed. the passionate fans, and they are there no matter where you go. And yeah, it was a good start. And I think, I think we won that game. But yeah, and that was the start of good time in Celtic.
Yeah, and you hit a real purple patch of form between October and November. You scored 7 goals. Your first your first goal came against Cluj in the Europa League at Celtic Park. I'm sure you remember that. What was that moment like, scoring your first goal, especially at home?
That was amazing. I don't remember I have ever celebrated as hard as as that goal. I think it was a lot of I mean, obviously, when you go to Celtic and you come from Premier League, you have a price tag, and people expect things from you, and there's a lot of pressure. You put a lot of pressure on yourself. I haven't scored for a very long time. I remember we talking about Cluj before the game. They was the ones who kicked the Celtic out, so it was a lot of emotions, and yeah, it was amazing. Good goal, good win, and yeah, it was the period where I was, finding myself again, enjoying football at the most.
Yeah, and you also played a key role in that win over Lazio in Rome, as Olivier Cham scored the last minute winner. Do you remember the wild scenes in the away end? Thousands of fans had travelled over and were rewarded with a rare away win in Europe. It was quite a night.
Yeah, that was one of that's one of the things you remember forever. Those nights, the European nights, and games in Celtic Park. But obviously, playing big teams away, night in Rome. I just wish we stayed over to celebrate even a little bit longer. But you have a tight schedule, so you have to go back. But yeah, it was an amazing win for us. Great performance, and those games you will take with you.
You suffered an injury around the winter time, which kind of derailed your season a little bit. I think you made your comeback at Hampden in the League Cup final, but then I think you were forced off injured maybe at half time. Rangers really dominated that game, didn't they? They missed a penalty. Jeremy Frimpong was sent off, but Celtic somehow managed to retain the cup, and big Christopher Julian obviously scored with that header. Fraser Foster was phenomenal in goals that day as well. What are your recollections from that day? And is Fraser Foster's performance between the
Yeah.
sticks one of the greatest goalkeeping displays you've ever seen?
Yeah, that was one of the best. I mean, from as a I played with a lot of good goalkeepers, but I think that one's the one where, like, wow, he's insane. I think we all can send him big thanks and flowers to him. Who was the reason why we won that game. I remember we were really, really struggling. For myself, I shouldn't have played that game at all. It's a cup final, it's against Rangers, so I forced myself. I wasn't ready. But yeah, big Fraser. He deserves all the praise for that game, and obviously winning cup final against Rangers. That's something you remember forever. I remember also before the game, suddenly my legs start shaking, and I'm like, wow, I haven't been nervous for a long time. And I realized it wasn't me being nervous; it was just the whole stadium was shaking. That was the first time I experienced that. Like, full Hampton Park, everybody jumping up and down, so even the pitch was shaking. So I thought it was me being nervous, but it was actually the stadium going nuts. So that was a great experience.
Yeah, is that maybe the best atmosphere you've experienced in football, or one of?
Yeah, I played a lot of derbies up in the years before and afterwards. Even here in Copenhagen is a big derby as well. But there's nothing can compare to Old Firm. It's very special, and experience it has been amazing. But obviously, those 2 years I was there, I don't remember much.
Yeah.
Playing with fans. So that was a thing that I always regret. Obviously, there's nothing I can do about it. But I mean, it was. You went up there because of the atmospheres and of the fans, and you didn't get it. So that was really challenging.
Yeah, that was actually going to be my next question. How did you
Yeah.
find your experiences playing against Rangers? Obviously, I think that day at Hampden was the only game against Rangers you played in front of fans. But then you scored in a 1-1 draw against Rangers with COVID. And ordinarily the stadium would have been bouncing after you scored, but obviously there was no fans in it. So what were the experiences like? How would you compare both?
I think we as a teams really struggled because you didn't have that that adrenaline and that edge you need. And it's almost like scoring in your backyard. You score and it's quiet. Nobody. You have teammates coming to celebrate with you, but anyway, you don't get that extra energy from it. So that was really tough. I think we really struggled that time as a club, just because of that. I think if you look at the squad we had, we have such a good squad, a lot of potential, quality players who's gone afterwards playing in the Premier League and doing well. So I think definitely playing a full season without fans, it was tough. And we also lost the league title, and that makes it even more difficult. COVID and everything around it, the life itself was tough. So yeah, that was some challenging year, I can remember.
Yeah, maybe touch about COVID a wee bit more in a minute, Moy. But just on that final question on that day at Hampden, what was the celebrations like in the changing room afterwards? From an outside perspective, fans say it must be boring watching Celtic, being a Celtic supporter, being a Celtic player, winning all the time. I know that was your first experience of winning a trophy with Celtic, but the likes of James Forrest, Callum McGregor, they've been there before. They've been there and done it before. But what were the celebrations like? Was it just like like they'd won their first trophy almost?
No. I mean, I think if you play in a club, it's the same over here as well in Copenhagen. If you play with a big club where the fans and everyone around you demand the trophy, and you win a few as well, that hunger, as soon as the hunger stops, that's when you maybe need to look somewhere else. I think you need to have that hunger over and over again, because there is a demand and there is a obligation to win trophies. And if you don't have that deep inside you, then that maybe it's not the club for you. And so yeah, of course you can imagine, all celebrating together, winning the Old Firm Cup final. I think it hadn't have happened for a few years. I think
Yeah,
I think about
right. Yeah.
years. So so it's a big thing as well. And yeah, no, and those two boys you mentioned there, Bruni as well. They celebrate like it was the first time, and that's the mentality.
Yeah. There's a minor blip in the middle of the season. Obviously, I think Celtic reached the last 16 of Europa League, and they ironically came undone by your current club, Copenhagen, drawing 1-1 away and then losing 3-1 at home. How frustrating was that? Especially as the club were performing well domestically. Was there a feeling that Celtic could have progressed quite far in Europa League that year?
Yeah, I think I touched about it with the quality we had in the team. The potential was there, and I think we should definitely have gone through with the team we had. Uh, I don't think we underestimated Copenhagen at that time, but so we had a good result. 1-1 away is a good result, and I think they also missed a penalty. Big phrase saved again, and at home I remember we had a really good start, and for some reason, when you're at home, you're pushing and pushing, and then you get the counterattacks against you, and thing doesn't go your way. So I think it was one of those days where the ball didn't want to go in. I remember I had also a big chance in the start of the game, which I still remember. I just mishit it, and yeah, we lost. That was a big punch in the face, I would say, because then Copenhagen went on and played Man United afterwards. So we all thought that should have been us.
Yeah. And Celtic were flying before COVID curtailed the season, and it was, I think, the season ended prematurely right before a trip to Ibrox, and Rangers were really struggling at that point. There seemed to be a kind of confidence within the support that Celtic were really going to do some damage at Ibrox and win comfortably. Was that a view shared in the dressing room? Were you really relishing the prospect of going there?
When was this?
Just before the season ended, I think the final game before the
Yeah,
COVID curtailed the season, it was a
yeah,
trip
I
to
remember that because we were preparing for the game. I think they stopped it. They stopped this. It was the day before. I think
Yes,
we
it
just
was. Yeah.
that was. I will never forget that. And yes, we were flying. We were a really, really good place, and they were not. I think we were, yeah, very confident we'd go over there and win the game. And then middle of the training, I remember Tim, the head of medical, came in to the pitch and told us that the game was off.
Mm.
The rise of COVID and everything around it made sense as well. And then people starting talking about the season will end, there will be no more games, and uh, maybe the holiday starts now. I mean, it's just like it was a strange time. Um, so we stayed for a few weeks, I think, and then we got the I think the decision was made that the seasons ended, and that's it. And I think people start to okay, yes, we won the league, but I remember I was at home. We all flew home afterwards, like a few weeks later, and it was holiday, and I think it was a few players who got to take a photo with the trophy. We got awarded the league, so they got the trophy at their home. I was in Norway at that time, so I never saw the trophy. I never
Wow.
got to hold it really. But yeah, it's strange times. It's crazy that COVID was there for 2 years of our life. I felt like you lost 2 years of your life. But yeah, everyone was in it.
Yeah. So you've never had a picture with the Premiership trophy?
I don't think so. I never had that, in my hands. I never hold it really. I think maybe had one where we went at the stadium where I think they gather all the trophies together and you stand behind it, took a
Yeah.
picture. I think maybe I had one like that, but I never like really got to hold it and lift it and really get the feeling of it.
Yeah, it's a strange feeling, isn't it? Because Celtic were miles ahead in the league before the season was brought to the kind of premature end. It was an
Mm.
historic ninth title in a row. That was a really important title for Celtic. It's only the second time in the history the club had managed to do that. But it was a bit, for you especially, it must have been such an anticlimax not getting to, celebrate in front of the fans at Celtic Park after all your hard work.
100%. Never had that, like we had it here in last season, where celebrate on the in at the stadium, thanking all the fans for the support and celebrating together, lift the trophy. We never had that, so it was you can say that also was a big anticlimax, yes, for sure.
Yeah. And what were your thoughts regarding your future at the end of that season? Did you have it in your head that you were going to be heading back to Southampton to give it a second chance, or did you have in your head that you fancied a second crack at Celtic?
I think initially it was going back to Southampton. I remember I had a few other options as well. I think as well I was a bit lucky because I had that injury, which made me being out for a few months. I was supposed to be out for a few months, but then the league stopped, and I got to use that time to recover and get back fit. So it was actually perfect timing for me. But then then we were talking about 10th in a row, and I think that was the thing that made me stay. Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that. Was that
I
something?
know you are.
Was that really something that inspired you to come back? The chance to become a legend, to be part of a 10 in a row winning, team.
Yeah, definitely. That was the main thing that made me stay. Obviously, I also really enjoyed being in Glasgow. My daughter had one child at that time. She had her first and second birthday in Glasgow. The dressing room, the team spirit, everything was on top. I really enjoyed life in Glasgow. So that, and together with trying to win the 10th in a row, was actually easy decision to stay for another year. And we hope to get into the Champions League as well. Yeah, and the rest is history.
Yeah. How often was 10 in a row actually mentioned in the dressing room? Was it something that, was mentioned quite a lot?
No, I don't think we really talked that much about it. I think also the fans, and you get messages, and and I lived at Claremont Terrace, close to Kelvin Grove Park, so I was there a lot with my child. So you meet fans, and there's hopes and expectations, and you self have big hopes and expectations. So we went for it, but yes, like I started with, it was a tough year because of playing without fans. You knew you're going to play without fans, and all that comes with it made it really difficult for us.
Yeah. Are you convinced, or do you think that had it been a normal season, had the fans been in the stadium, do you think Celtic would have won the league that year?
Oh yes, I think so. I really believe that if we had a normal season with fans, and the pressure and the energy that the fans gives us, I think definitely will be a different outcome. If we won it, I'm not sure, but I think we've definitely done much better than we did. Both in the league and also the cup. I think we went out of the cup as well. I don't remember which one. So yeah, I think definitely they would have given us the extra edge.
Yeah. There was a kind of minor blip in your Celtic career, Moy. I think you received a bit of criticism. You probably remember this one after being caught in TV cameras on your phone during the 4-1 defeat at home to Sparta Prague. The Celtic legends Chris Sutton and Paul Lambert, I think, were among those that kind of publicly had a go at you. Can you remember what you were checking at the time? And is that an incident that you regret?
Yeah, so what happened was I was subbed off. I went to shower. I think it was cold at that time, so I get changed to the tracksuit we used, and I had my phone in my pocket. So I was watching the game, and then I was thinking, oh, let me check the results from the other games. So I did that, for I would say tops 10 seconds, check the score. But when you watch on TV, and 10 seconds is quite long, and it looks like I didn't even text or something. I just looked at the scores. So it was really bad, and we are at it wasn't bad runs of games, I think, at that time, or it was we were under pressure, and I would say I was probably the scapegoat from that game. They used me as a scapegoat, and which, to be fair, looking back to it, is very unprofessional to do. So I take the blame, and I knew, there would be eyes on me, and I had to talk with Nilen. I know, and hands up, that was bad for me. And luckily, he gave me a chance to play the next game. And I remember I was like, I really have to perform now, because not only the experts and the fans were, some of the fans as well, I got messages. So I knew that, okay, I need, make this right. So, and I did the next game.
Yeah, you scored a hat trick against Motherwell.
So that was a relief.
Yeah. Did you think that the criticism, you said you were made the scapegoat, do you think the criticism was over the top, especially coming from ex-Celtic pros?
No, I mean, there and then, no. There and then, yes, I thought so. I thought they really used me as a scapegoat. But looking back now, I think that was probably fair. That's a very unprofessional thing to do. I could never imagine doing it now, or he would not be able to do it now either. But yeah, I responded in the perfect way anyway. And then the story was it just lasted for a few days.
Yeah, it was different times back then. It was different times.
Yeah, exactly.
Did you? I mean, the only positive from that season that I can personally recall was obviously Celtic securing the quadruple treble, a feat that is unlikely to ever, be done again. Celtic finally won the Scottish Cup. It was a bit of a nerve racking ending. Obviously, Christopher Ayer scored the winning penalty in the shootout. How proud are you to be part of that team?
Yeah, no, that's incredible. I don't think. I mean, when I tell that to the boys even here, they never heard about it, and done that, so that's something you take with you, and yeah, that was probably one of the only positive things from that year. And I remember Christopher going up taking penalty. I was like, oh no. So, never seen him taking a penalty before, but he executed it perfectly. So I was glad for him and for us.
Yeah. Do you still talk to Christopher to this day? Does he still mention it?
No, not that much, but we still talk to this day. I knew about him before I came to Celtic. We knew about each other, but we didn't. I didn't have his phone number. But we became very good friends. We still are to this day that we talk. Our missus as well. We play London. We play Tottenham next month. So our missus are gonna meet up and watch the game together. And yeah, I still talk very much to him. I look at him as a close friend now.
Great, great. Can I ask you about Neil Lennon as well? What was it like playing under Neil Lennon? Obviously, he's a bit of a fiery character.
Yeah, what a character. Amazing. In terms of he demanded a lot. He was a kind of that was my first experience of, don't get me wrong. I hope he doesn't get this wrong as well if he reads it, as in old school manager,
Oh, yeah.
as in very tough, as in very direct. While in Norway, we don't really have that. And I didn't experience that anywhere else I went. But he was very direct, and it could be very hard on you. I've seen players almost cry of the way he speak. But on the other hand, he will also praise you if you done well. So I'll say he had a really good team around him with Kendo as well, who tactically very strong, and the teams around very strong, and Nilan was very good at the speech before he went to game. It was almost like you're going to a war when he had the speech. He was very good to motivate the players, but he's definitely either you love him or you hate him, I guess. He can be tough.
Did you feel sorry for him in your second season? And obviously, there was a lot of criticism directed his way. He was the kind of face of the club. The fans were upset the way the 10 in a row season had gone, and they wanted Neil Lennon to leave. Did you feel sorry for him? Did you think he had personally been impacted by that?
Yeah, definitely. Because I could see, what impact it had on him. Because he's a legend of the club, both as a player and as a coach. He loves the club more than anything else, I would say, and you could tell. So it hurt him, and you could also see that he was hurt. He could also, let some of the players know about it as well. So I think it was a tough time for him, for all of us really. But I think most for him and the guys who've been there for such a long time, Bruni as well, Callum, So yeah, I could see that first, from the first hand how much it meant to him, and how much it hurt, when we lost it, and having the fans going after him, and the criticism, and all that comes with it. I think that's the thing when you play for a big club. You feel like you're living, in good and in bad times.
Yeah. You personally ended that season with 18 goals, which was a really good return. I think you left Celtic with 25 goals overall. Was there ever an opportunity to stay at Celtic permanently? And is that something you would have considered or wanted to do? Or did you have ambitions? You'd done 2 years at Celtic and it was time to move on.
Yeah, I really enjoyed my time there. I don't think, I think if you were talking about permanent move, I think I would be open to it. I had at the same time talks with Southampton, not really, direct talks where they said, come back and you get your second chance. It was more like, okay, come back and you see how it goes. So when I went back there, it was only to have a preseason and then take it from there. And I was thinking Celtic could be an option at that time. I don't recall if we had any talk about permanent move, but I certainly I had hopes to have a chance in Sutton and to take it.
And in later years, did you ever have an opportunity to return for a third time? I know you were a free agent in 2023. Was there ever an opportunity to come back to Celtic?
I think. No, I don't think we had. I still haven't. No, still in touch with some of the guys. I was in touch with Kendo, for example. But I don't think we talk about it. I think sometimes it's nice to just leave things as it is, and you never know how it goes if I come back. So I think as well, you're getting older as well. I think Celtic, they are looking for other types of players. But I have followed the team and the club since my time there. Even my kids have a Celtic shirt on. They pass in generations as well now, not generation, but between them. So still I'm a big fan of the club.
Yeah. And how do you reflect on your time at Celtic overall? It really was a roller coaster, wasn't it?
That's the perfect way to explain it. Yeah, I think so, to describe it. I think roller coaster of emotions. But overall, it's a time which I will always cherish and remember. As you always try to look at the good side of it. Like I said, I had a good time outside this football as well. I really like the city. Well, in those 2 years I was there, I could probably maybe count on one hand how many times I saw the sun. I would say that was the toughest thing, I think. You didn't go there because of the weather, that's for sure. But other than that, it was a good time.
And I suppose, do you have any regrets? I suppose not winning 10 in a row would be up there, maybe not playing in front of fans.
Say again, sorry.
Do you have any regrets? I suppose not winning 10 in a row and not playing in front of fans in the second season might be
Yeah,
up there.
yeah, definitely. That was the biggest regret. Not winning the 10th in a row, that would be, then you'd be in the history books for forever. And playing football without fans, I experienced it in first hand. That was tough. That's when you realize that football without fans is nothing. And certainly, even though you try your best, obviously, to win, but there's always something missing.
Yeah. Who was the best player you played with at Celtic?
Oh
Putting you under the.
no, I think it's unfair to just mention one. I think I really enjoyed playing. I would say I enjoyed playing on the left side with Greg, Chris Archer, Callum. I think we had a really good understanding of each other, the movements we had. I think that I enjoyed playing on the left side with them, obviously, and then you have all the players that provided, all the assists. So it's hard to mention one.
Do you
I
think
cannot
there was,
mention one.
it's another question I always ask former players is who do you think was the most underrated? Maybe someone that you saw in training who was always exceptional, but maybe didn't get the credit that they deserved.
Mm, I don't know, because I think uh, it's hard
I'll
to
help
say.
you. Mikey Johnson's a popular one that always pops up.
Yeah, but I was just the first thing was popped in my head was Bruni, but obviously he's a legend there, and he's everything's done for the club, but just his way of preparing himself, he's I mean there's no how can I say this there's a reason why he managed to play as long as he did, and I think the way that you're coming into training and he was always on top in terms of he was never sloppy. He was he's giving his best every day. Doesn't matter the day, doesn't matter the mood, doesn't matter where he came from. I think he really was a guy who set the standard. I think he's one of the best captains I played under. Because of the leadership he had and the standards he had, so I think I'll have to mention him. But don't get me wrong, he was not underrated. I don't
Yeah,
think so. He was, but just I
yeah,
have to mention him, the guy who set the standards.
yeah. And finally, can I just ask you about Jordan Larson? How has he developed as a player, and does he often pick your brains about Celtic?
Yeah, of course. Obviously, he's having his time there, and obviously with his dad, who's coming to the games, most games, watching us. So have the chat about him as well about Celtic. So it's funny because I've seen some pictures of him going on the pitch, with his dad, and now our kids are going to the same school, and they're really good friends. My boys and his boy. So and they are where he was, So he experienced it firsthand how it is to be, a son of a player. So it's funny, but yeah, he's an important player to us. He's been really good for us, scoring a lot of goals. He's a player I enjoy playing with as well. With combination play we had, understanding on the pitch. So yeah, he knows everything about Glasgow. I mean, obviously living there for a few years. So he remembers some places I have been to as well.
Yeah. Do you think you'll ever follow in his dad's footsteps and maybe play for Celtic one day?
Yeah, well, he never. Yeah, I've asked him. Well, I don't think. I don't know. I think sometimes it's nice to leave it as it is. His father is, obviously big figure in Celtic. So I don't know if that ever crossed his mind, but I think he's very happy where he's at the moment.
Yeah, definitely. Listen, thanks very much for your time. I really appreciate it. It was great catching up with you and going back over some great memories as well for yourself.
Yes,
and
like
obviously some not so great memories such as 10 in a row, but there we go. There's more ups and downs.
it is. Hopefully we manage to watch it one day. That Celtic have done it.